Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am supposed to be doing massive amounts of cleaning in my house to prepare for my trip to Memphis. I like to come home to a clean house. So, since I have all those things to do, I am finding creative ways to procrastinate. I'd much rather be sewing. I am going to tell myself I can sew a little, clean a little, sew a little, clean a little. That makes it so much more doable that way. I have a project in my head that I have not seen. I did look again on YouTube, couldn't find anybody who had done it, so I'm going to just go for it. I like it when I can find somebody who's done it before me, because then I have an idea as to whether or not I'm going to like it. So I have no clue, but I'm determined to use up all those fleece throws that I bought and turn them into projects. So we're going to go ahead and start a new project. I am going to just take you over to my table and explain to you what I want to do. For this project, I am going to be working with two throws. I have this plain green and I have camouflage. And let me see, I don't think my lighting is good. Not sure if that's better. But my idea is I'm not going to be cutting this fleece blanket at all. I am going to be using it as my background. And I thought I would just cut pieces of the camouflage. First I was going to do all even size squares, but I think it'll be more interesting that I do just different size squares or rectangles. I'm going to put them down, pin them, and then just go around and sew them right on this fleece as an applique. I'm just going to do that to the whole blanket. Let's see how that turns out. I am going to keep this very simple, and I'm not even going to plan what size squares and how many. I'm just going to start cutting different shapes, and I will sew them on the green blanket, and we'll just go from there. So let's see, can you see what I'm doing here? I do not think so. So I just folded this so I can cut at least two pieces at a time. Doesn't matter if they're the same, they can go in different parts of the blankie. And I'm just going to cut. I'll just do a rough cut. You can certainly use a rotary cutter and a cutting thingy. Alright, so I have two like this. Try a different size. I save all these scraps because that gets cut into smaller pieces and it makes filling for stuffed animals. So now I have two rectangles like this. So let's make a smaller square. I have no clue yet how I want to finish the border, so I'm just going to leave a space all around the edge, and we'll figure that out later. I'm just going to take a piece. I'm going to make them all stretch the same way this stretches. So this is stretching this way, so I'm going to make sure I put the stretchy side that way too. And I'm just going to put that and just, eye it, and I am going to pin. Now before taking that over to the sewing machine, I'm going to put a few more down so that I can sew a bunch at once. So let's try one of these. I'm going to leave about 1 inch between the pieces. Oops, I want to leave the stretch in that direction, so let's do it this way. Let's move on to this side. Let's put this big guy right here. And actually, I don't want it the same height as this, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this. Got the stretch in the right direction. Alright, we'll start with this. I'm just going to go over to the machine and I'm going to sew these 3 babies down. I have lots of stitching options with this old machine, but I am going to go with just basic zigzag. I was going to do a blanket stitch, but I just want to keep it simple. And so I tried it on these 2 pieces of scrap, and you can see that the zigzag looks like that. Where are we? Like that on that side, and on the back side it looks like that, except I used 2 scraps of camouflage. I went with dark green thread because I'm using the dark green on the back side. The one thing about this that is a little bit not great is that we're dealing with sewing a whole blankie at a time, you know, under the machine. But this is so easy to crunch up that it's not all that big of a deal. But what I want to suggest is always lay down a few squares at once so you can come and just do all of them and then go back and pin a few more down. So let's just see here. I'm going to just start with one, and you can see I just pinned so that I have an idea of where this is supposed to go, and that's it, nice and flat. I can just start at any corner. And when I sew the zigzag, I'm going to try to get, you know, the left thread to be on the camouflage and the right thread to go into the dark green, so it just encases the edge. Doesn't matter if it doesn't. You could even just sew a straight stitch, top stitch, all around this. This is not going to fray, so it's okay if the edge is raw and just floppy there. But I'm just going to try to encase it inside the zigzag. Here we go. Scared. Now I'm going to just straighten this out a little bit. It's nice if you have a table behind your sewing machine that you can put the excess blankie on. Oh, we're almost done this one. Now, I didn't do a back stitch when I first started. I could have, but what I'm going to do is, now that I'm ending, I'm just going to go to the end, and now I'm going to back stitch a little and forward. That's enough. And at this point, I don't really even have to cut my threads. I can move over to another square. Gotta get this out of my way so you can see what I'm doing. Let's just move on to the next one. Oops, let me get this pin out before I hurt myself. The others too. I'm very prone to injury. And of course, this is not as hard to do if you don't have a camera on your sewing machine. And you probably won't. Remove painful pin. I'm going to pull this one out and snip, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, let's go back to the table here and see what we've got. I think this is going to be very basic. I think it'll be cool when it's all complete. Right now, it's like I'm being hit with all this dark green, and I'm not even a fan of dark green. So I think once I have all the camouflage pieces put on there, I think I'm going to like it. It's going to be fun to make the puzzle. I'm just going to fill the whole blanket with different size squares and rectangles. And we're going to see how it turns out. I will stop the camera now because it's going to be a lot easier for me to sew when I don't have a tripod right by my left hand. So we're just going to go with it. And if I think of anything, I'll let you know. If not, you'll see me again when this is all completely filled in. This project is actually moving along quite good. I did not realize it was going to be this quick. But I wanted to take a minute now to talk to you about a few things that I've learned along the way. First of all, I am no longer trying to cut the squares and rectangles, you know, perfectly with a straight edge, because no matter what I do, it's going to be a little lopsided just due to the stretchiness of the fabric. So what I do is, you know, I just put my fleece down and decide what I want for a shape, and I just cut it right here and go with it. This piecing part is by far my favorite part because it's like making a puzzle. I have used all the pieces that I cut previously. This is what I have left of that. And now I'm just taking, you know, big pieces and putting them down. I'm still trying to keep the stretchy with stretchy. And that's how I'm doing it. I think I'll be doing a knotted edge when I'm done, but I'm not sure. I will say that this is probably not a good beginner project because it is, you know, quite a bit to maneuver under the needle. And I'm not really set up with a table behind me right now that would make it so much easier. But I've only stuck my finger once with a pin, so that wasn't too bad. And I also wanted to show you that you know, some of them I've just decided to do little strips on purpose. It's kind of looking more like, you know, like a stone walkway or something. None of this is my taste. I'm not a camo fan. I am not Bunny Meyer. I don't like really green. It's not one of my favorite colors unless we're talking about the green contact lenses I used to wear, which I absolutely adored. So it's just, you know, something that I'm doing to practice. Okay, I'm going back to the sewing machine. It is now 3 days later. I've been having trouble finding time to work on this, so I've done just what I can during the day. Now I am getting very near the end, and I wanted to show you something else that I have figured out. Obviously, we should have enough fabric with the throw to cover the other throw, because we started out with the same size throws. But when you get toward the end, you don't want to just start cutting random pieces, because you could end up not having a certain size piece that you need. So what I'm doing now is I've just taken my ruler, and for instance, if I want a piece that's, oh, let's say 10 inches or 11 inches wide by 7 this way, well, that's what I'm going to cut. And then that way I won't be wasting any fabric, and it should all work. Just want to show you that I am finally done. I will show you better pictures after. But I wanted to show you that right now I'm just going around and cutting off the binding or the blanket edge stitching that came with the throw, because I don't want that on there. Now I'm going to try an edging that is half something I've seen and half made up. I took different videos that I saw, and I can't really remember what they did or how they did it, so I'm just winging it. That's the half made up part. I do remember that they said if you do any type of a braided or chain stitch edging, it's best to start in the middle and not on a corner. So I'm going to just start in the middle here somewhere. And let me see, I'm going to try to zoom in. But what I'm going to do is I'm taking my edge, actually I'm going to turn the blanket over. Yes. Okay, I am going to see if I can find my middle approximately. So kind of right here's the middle. I'm going to just fold the edge up to where it's reaching where my panels are. I can see there's a stitching line there. So I'm just going to fold up to that approximately. And I'm going to cut about, I'm so afraid if this screws up, that means I will have done this whole blanket for nothing. But what I'm going to do is about an inch apart, I'm going to cut only about an inch up. So I'm leaving like an inch there. See, there's just a slit. Where are you? Sorry about that. I will do that again so you can see. But you can see I have just a slit in there, but I still have like an inch on each side of the slit. I have like an inch left of the border, and then I have an inch between the slit and where my panels start. So let's just fold this up again. And I'm just going to cut all the way around this entire blanket. So you end up with something like that. Once you have your slits all done, all the way around, you turn it back to the front side. I am going to start by putting my fingers, let's do these two, thumb and, is this index finger? I'm terrible. I know the middle finger. I'm very familiar with that one. I'm going to lift that first loop, and I'm going to put my thumb and finger there, and I'm going to grab the loop next to it and pull it through. Now I'm going to put my thumb and finger through that loop, and I'm going to go to the next loop and pull that one through. Now I'm going to put my fingers through it again, through that new loop, and pull the next one through. And I'm just going to do this continuously. It's like a chain stitch if you know crochet. And on one side it's easier to do than the other. This is the tight side because this is the side that doesn't stretch. Just go through and do the next one. Go through, do the next one. And then I'm going to show you, see the edging it makes? Kind of cool. It is going to bunch up a little bit. We can stretch it out a little bit, but I'm still going for it because I kind of have to at this point. So I'm just gonna go all the way around doing that. When I get to a corner, I'll show you, and then when I finish, I'll show you. Okay, I just learned something. I took mine apart because it was getting quite bunched up, and I redid it, and it's not anywhere near as bunchy. What I did is I took the slits that I had made, and I went ahead and made the slits longer by cutting right up to the panels that I have. So I have here about a 4-inch edging, and I've made my slits about 3 inches long. Where are you? Right there. So now it's much easier to do with the longer slit, and it looks really nice on the edge of the blanket. And it's neat on the back too, but looks good. So I'm going to continue. You guys, I'm loving this edging. I just think it's so cool. We're going to go around a corner now, and since I haven't done this before, I'm going to do it with you. All right, so let me get to the corner here. Oh, I wanted to show you that what I did is just like if you make one of those tied fleece blankets, I cut a corner out of my corner. I should say I cut a square out. See, like this. Somewhere there, it was there, and I cut that out. So now I'm just going to go around. Okay, so there's my loop. I'm just going to continue to the other side and just grab that loop, and I'm assuming that shall work. Okay, we have a funky little corner thing going on, but that's okay. Let's just keep going and see. It made a corner. Do love. And then I do want to show you that, before I forget, on the other side, you know, since we don't cut everything perfectly evenly, we're left with this little flap that could always be trimmed off after if you wanted to, or you can just leave it there. You know, I can see that it's not even all the way around. I'm not going to trim it, and I'm just leaving it. Okay, I'm going to continue. I have gone all the way around, and I am back to where I started. I'm going to do the chain stitch with my last one, and then what I've seen some do is cut this in half and then tie a knot to here. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Another person had just folded it over and sewed a little decorative button on there. But I think I'm going to do the cutting and tying. I wish my thing was a little longer. Just going to cut, and I'm going to tuck. I'm going to tuck this one under the chain stitch in front of it, if I can find where it comes out. Right there. Okay, and I'm just going to knot these two together. Don't even know if I'm under the camera. Ooh, that's gonna be too hard. I'm not long enough to, let's see, how can I resolve this problem? I'm going to take that out. If I can figure out how to take it out. I've gotten myself into quite the pickle. I don't even know how to undo what I just did. Wait, I made it very secure without even wanting to. Alright, I need to make that longer somehow. Ooh, I'm going to slide, let's see. Is it possible to make that a bit longer? Not really. Okay, so we're having a little bit of trouble here at the end. I should have done the stitching down method. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I am, because I don't have enough ends to make a knot. I am just putting these two things together here, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch that and with my sewing machine and then trim. Because I wanted to finish this blanket sometime in this century, I just tucked the ends under, and then I just did some zigzagging there to really secure it. Not the prettiest, but it'll be okay. Now I am going to go around and clean up some of this trim that's like too long in some places, and then I will be, ooh, do like it, with that nice little border. And then I will be taking some pictures tomorrow when it's daylight, and then I will show you guys, and it will go up on eBay, but it won't be until after my vacation, so we'll worry about that later. I am finally done this project. I am so glad it's over, and I'll tell you 2 reasons why. I had a hard time loving this project. About halfway through, I was like, why did I start this? I just wasn't happy with the way it was going. I didn't think it was going to come out good in the end. I'm not really in love with the colors or the pattern of camouflage. So I just kept pushing through it, and then when I got to the end and learned this chain technique of creating that border, I ended up really liking this blankie. So I'm glad that I didn't give up. I'm not much at giving up in the middle of a project because once I've invested time, I just want to finish it. But I have given up in the middle of projects and completely taken projects apart and just gotten so frustrated. So this time I pushed through and it came out good. Now I am going to say that I will be putting this on eBay, but only after my vacations, so it would be only after January 17. And I know some of you might email me or ask me if you could just outright buy it. I really use eBay not because I want to sell these things and make any money, because I really don't make money on eBay. I sell for pretty much the cost of the fabric, and then after all the fees and stuff, sometimes I even lose money. But I use eBay as a new platform to get recognition, to maybe attract some other people who don't know I exist on YouTube, and they'll find me on eBay. So, it's always, I always have ideas up here in this head. So the things that I make, I'm not making these because I want to sell them on eBay. I sell them on eBay so I can get rid of the things that I make. So I kind of use it as a form of advertising. Anyway, it's so comfy and cozy. At first I was like, why would anybody want to go through this when they can just buy the fleece camouflage blanket if they like that print? But there's something double cozy about it, and it's fun. And when you have projects that you like, it's just fun to do the applique. Now, definitely I would not do a size project like this if you're a newbie, because it's a little frustrating to maneuver this whole blanket under the sewing machine arm. If you really wanted to do something this big, I would highly suggest that you use a fusible webbing and stick down, iron on every single panel, and then you don't have to worry about hurting yourself with pins when you're turning that blanket under the arm and all that. The other thing that's cool though is you can cut, not squares, but you can cut letters, the alphabet, numbers, whatever. You can just design anything you want. And so in that case, it's a very good project. And again, I would just go ahead and use the fusible webbing. And I would like to do a video down the road after my vacation about how the fusible webbing works. But this ended up being about 50 long by 40 wide. The original fleece is 60 long by 50 wide, so you lose 10 inches in each direction. And the border that I made does indeed bunch it up a little bit. You can see it's like bunched up. In some places it's bunched even more, and the corners stay a little bit rounded. They kind of fold over, but it just makes it so much more cuddly that way. Like I said, I will be putting this on eBay, and I'm hoping that all the eBay people are watching this video. It's a practice piece. I just do these things to learn something new. And after about 4 or 5 times of sewing down one of these applique pieces, I was like, okay, I didn't need to learn this much of it. But in the end, I was able to try this chain border for the first time, and I do like it very much. I just think it looks a little bit more masculine than if it had all the knotted ends. So obviously this is a more masculine blanket, but I'm not going to say that because I know many women love camouflage too, so it's for anyone. It's still good for a child because it's not really big. So I don't know what else I need to tell you about it. I did trim back some of the excess fleece in the backing. But again, nothing is perfect here, nothing. I don't want to stress myself out with these projects. They are just for me to knock things out, to practice, to learn new techniques, to teach you new techniques, and then I just put it on eBay to get rid of it. And I don't know if I'm going to do the buy it now option. Again, I did it, and I'm from old school eBay. I like auction format also because it gives me exposure for a matter of 5 to 7 days. The last one I did a buy it now, and I don't even think it lasted 10 minutes, which was wonderful. I'm glad the blanket found a new home. I absolutely am thrilled with that. But it was like, it's a lot of work to get an auction set up and the photos and all the, doing all that, and then boom, it's gone. So I think I'm going to stick to auction format and just start at low bids and let you guys bid over it. And again, even if something doesn't even sell or it sells for 99 cents or whatever, I like the exposure that eBay gives me. So that's it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I hope if you try it that you show me what you make. Certainly could do a smaller project. Doesn't have to be a whole fleece throw. And, you know, just try your hand at applique. We do love this chain stitch technique. I have some other techniques I'm going to try for finishing off fleece blankets. And I'd like to do a video, you know, showing those once I learn them all. I have more fleece projects coming up for you. I have 5 more blankets that I have to use up somehow. And then at the end, I'd like to do a project with all the leftovers that I have. So thank you so much for watching. And do watch for this on eBay sometime later on this month. Bye!